All right. Hello. Thanks for joining. And my name is Alisha. I'm an adaptive yoga instructor for CAF, and I am excited to be here and offer a practice that's suitable for all levels. So please feel free to modify, to go deeper. Most importantly, just really listen to your body and enjoy the ride. So we're going to start centering ourselves, of course, the way we always start. So all these postures can be done either in your chair or on the mat or a combination of two. So feel free to just take a seat wherever it's best for you. Then this is a mental activity. So you're rooting your feet down towards the earth, and then you'll just softly close your eyes. And as you close your eyes, it's easier to take that awareness inside the body. So we begin to feel how the body's doing today. We begin to check in with the breath. We begin to check in with any tightness. And really just getting to a place where we can sit still for a moment. And begin to eliminate all those distractions on the outside. So hopefully there's no other noises, or if there are, that's okay. There are challenges that we'll have to overcome at time for sure with those obstacles. But if there's a TV, turn it off. Just try to bring as much stillness into your body, into your space, into the room. And then as you begin to settle your body into this seat, we'll bring our attention to the breath. So in this practice of yoga, we breathe in and out of the nose. If that gets too hard for you at any point, obviously just breathe however you need to. If you can, keep the mouth closed and breathe in and out of the nose. This has a direct impact on our nervous system. It allows the nervous system to slowly switch into that parasympathetic mode, that rest, digest, and relax mode. So just breathing here. Breathing into your whole body. As you connect to this breath work, you'll start to create a sound at the base of the throat. And now just focus on balancing that breath. So allow your inhales and exhales to be of the same length, the same depth, the same quality. We typically favor one end of the breath, but it's a reciprocation. It's a giving and receiving. So feel that even exchange here. And if you need to count, you can count just to make sure that they are of the same length. Right? Then you'll get into a rhythm and you'll just feel it. So ideally, this is the breath that you keep throughout the whole practice. Of course, we'll lose it from time to time, and I will remind you to come back to it. But if you can keep this breath going, this is the most valuable piece. Once we start to move into more challenging positions and transitions, of course, the breath will be compromised, but the idea is to come back to this breath so that we teach the nervous system to respond rather than react. Good. So once we've got this breath work down, we're going to start to open up the neck and shoulders. So gently take your right ear towards your right shoulder. Continuing to breathe. As you do this, let your shoulders relax. So the tendency to lift that right shoulder happens. So let that right shoulder drop down. Just let the head be heavy. Good. And then inhale, come back to center. And exhale over to the other side. Couple deep breaths. And breathe into the tightness. Breathe into the dark areas of the body. Breathe into the stagnant areas of the body. And then come back to center. And then we'll come straight forward, chin towards the chest. Let your head be heavy. Breathe here. Breathing into that space right at the base of your neck. Like our C5, C6 juncture. That very tight area of the body. Let the shoulders relax. Maybe moving the breath down into the thoracic spine. And then slowly we'll take the opposite and just look towards the wall in front of you, or just draw a line, straight line with your eyes, and then continue that straight line upward without letting the head draw back. We're just lengthening the back of the neck and lifting the chest. So it's tiny little back bend here. I'm just taking that opposite curvature of the spine as you breathe and lift. Keep those shoulders drawing back. Good. And then come back to center. Find where that center is. And we'll bring the shoulders up towards the ears and then back and down. And then up to the ears, squeeze them up and back and down. Trying to get a circular rotation here. Squeeze them up and back and down. And then lead them back and down so that your chest is really broad here. The collarbones are really broad. And then turn your palms up so you can kind of try to pin the shoulder blades towards one another. And this is a little back bend in itself. And so you can stay here and look up again. Maybe take one hand behind the head. Maybe take two hands behind the head. Everything optional here, so do what feels right for your body. And then if you have both hands behind the head, let the head fall back a little bit and support the head into this deeper back bending position, inviting a nice stretch into your arms and shoulders. Good. Take one more deep breath. And then come back to center and then release. Good. All right, hands on your thighs. We're going to do some circles here. So the circles originate from the hips. So you want to start small and just lean forward to the side and lean back. Lean forward to the side, back, and of course the other side, coming around full circle. Make these circles really small at first so that they are round. And you'll feel into that hip, low back region where there is definitely a lot of congestion. So we want to go slow. Just tuning into the body, feeling what's going on in that lower section of the spine, that area that connects to the hips, and just trying to work through those kinks. Good. And as you're doing this, you're breathing. So you inhale, come forward, and exhale, come back. If you feel pretty good here, maybe begin to make your circles a little bigger. So inhale forward and exhale back. Inhale forward and exhale back. It turns into kind of like a cat-cow here. As you come forward, you arch the spine, and as you come back, you round. Good. And we'll come back to center and switch directions. So again, start small so that you can make sure that it is a circle and we're not skipping through any area. We're not creating any other shapes, but nice fluid motion rotating through the hips and low back. If it feels pretty free in that space, maybe you get a little bit bigger, arching and rounding. Take one more full circle. And then lift all the way up, sitting up nice and tall. All right, so now we're going to work in forward and backward bending. So from a chair position, you're going to bring your forearms down to the thighs. In a seated position, if your legs are crossed the same way they have been for a while, switch them out, or you can extend the legs straight out in front of you. But this is more for the back, so we're just going to let the back round forward. So as you let your, if you're in your seat, your elbows are on your thighs, you're going to let your head lower down and get this nice curvature through the spine. And breathe into the whole back, from top to bottom. Especially that tight area right behind your heart. And maybe move your head a little bit if that feels good. Little yes and no nods. Take one more deep breath. And then breathe as you come up. You may be a little lightheaded if you cut off some circulation there at the waistline. Slowly make your way back up to a seat. And then we're going to come into the opposite of a little back bend here. So if you have help, you can always use a blanket along your spine here to support you to lean back like so. You can get that in your chair, just taking your arms down by your side and looking upward. Maybe if you can tilt your chair back. If you're seated on the floor, then you can take your arms back and lift your chest up here. Again, just envision what the opposite is of that rounded position that you just took with the spine, and go the other way. So we just always creating balance. What we do in one direction, we want to do in the other. Take one more deep breath. Good. Lifting your heart, lifting your chin, and then coming back to center. Good. So from a seated position, you'll come back to this upright position, and from the seat, we're going to take a twist. So right arm back, left hand wherever it can reach. Maybe it's to the left knee, maybe it's to the right knee, maybe it's holding on to the side of the chair, and look over your right shoulder. And then breathe deeply here. You want to twist from the low back up through the mid back, up through the upper back, and look over the shoulder for that cervical twist. Take one more deep breath. Good, and then come back to center and twist to the other side. Twists are very cleansing, so we want to make sure that that breath is with us. So lifting nice and tall, and exhale, twist, and look over your left shoulder. Good, come back to center. All right. Come back up to the seat here. We're going to come to a side body bend. Now opening up the side. If you have a chair or a block or something to put on your right side, that's a great option, or you can hold on to the side of your chair. This left hand is going to first just root this left side down. And so you're going to take your left hand to the left thigh and just push that left side down. Keep that left side grounded. And then come over to your prop or the ground or whatever you got. But you want to keep your hips grounded. So you've got this nice steady base. So we're not lifting up on this left side, but this left hand is reminding this left side to stay down. And already you should be getting a nice deep stretch through that left side and into the left back. You can Take your left hand behind your head and add a little bit more as you lift your elbow up to the sky and arch over to the right. Breathe deeply. One more breath. Good. And then come back to center gracefully as you can. Lift yourself back up to the middle. If you're using a prop, switch it over to the other side. And set yourself up. So again, we stay grounded in our seat. We don't want to lift up. And we do that so that you really get this opening here in the side, right between the ribs and the hips, that gets so congested, especially in a seated position. So push your right hand down to keep that right side down. And then take your arm either to the chair, to the ground, to a block, whatever you've got here. Just enough that you begin to feel this stretch taking place in that right side body. Good. The depth in these poses comes from the depth of your awareness. I always speak to this because it doesn't have to be this big back or big side bend. It doesn't have to be this big physical pose. The pose is opening up the right side, but your awareness is where the depth is. So take your awareness inside, feel what's going on in that right side. Notice if it's different than the left. Maybe if you want to add a little bit more, you take that right hand behind the head and continue that arching over as that right elbow reaches towards the sky. So we get length by lifting upward and rooting that right hip down. You can push that right foot down if you're in a chair, and lift and breathe and open that right side body. Good. And then come all the way back up. Nice. Coming back to center. And let's take a moment here to just feel centered. Pull your shoulders slightly back. Chest is slightly lifting. Ground down through your feet. Ground down through your hips. Lift up through the crown of the head. And breathe. Good. Coming I'm going to come to the mat for this one and show some options to go a little bit deeper into the hips and low back. This one is called Janu Shirshasana, and I'll show it down here first and then I'll give a seated version of it. So your legs are going to be extended out if you're on the ground, and you're going to bring this right leg in. So if you can find a way to replicate this in your body from a seated position, feel free to explore here. What we're trying to do is open up this right hip. So your right leg is going to come, you probably can't see me. Right leg is going to come out to the side a little bit. And if that's too far, you can always prop it up with a block or something. And just scoot this to this position here. So one leg is in and one leg is straight. The right leg is bent, the left leg is in. And from the seated position, you plant your hands alongside that left leg and breathe here. You don't have to come very far to feel this pose at all. And so the other variations that you can do from a chair is you can take this right leg. If you're able to lift this leg up, maybe pull it upward, maybe set the foot on the chair, or maybe even cross the leg a little bit. And what we want to do is just get into this right hip into a position that you can lean forward just a little bit, just to change the dynamic of the pose and breathe into some tighter muscles around that right hip, right low back. Good. And then come back to center. And we'll switch sides. So release the right foot down and then bring your left foot in. So if you're seated, the left foot's inside the right thigh. And if you're able to bring this left foot up, maybe hold on to the leg, maybe place the left ankle onto the right thigh. Or maybe you just close your eyes and you see that that right hip is open, the left foot is inside the right thigh. And then we breathe into the left hip. These visualizations are just as effective as the physical posture themselves. Like I was saying, the depth of these poses is in your awareness. So if you can create this visualization of your body in this position, you can breathe into that. You can stretch into that. You can feel into that. And then you'll come back to neutral. So release the left foot down. Come back to a seated pose. Good. And then we're going to take the legs wide now. So if you can take your legs a little bit wider, just bring the knees out from a seated position. Maybe you can let your feet come down. Or if you're on the mat, you extend the legs straight out for a wide-legged position. So any opening here in the legs or opening up our inner thighs. And again, visualization is very powerful, so that's an option as well. So as you open up the legs, sometimes this is enough because this is definitely not a position that we're in very often. If you need to add a little bit more, you can come forward a little bit more. So you can lean forward here from a chair position. If you're on the ground, you can walk your hands out in front of you and breathe and lengthen there. Sometimes if there's a chair or a block in front of you and you can use it for support here, that's really nice as well. Good, deep breaths. Good. And then slowly walk your hands up. Bring yourself back to a neutral spine. So that would be a forward bend. And now we're going to move into a little backward bend. So if you're on the mat, please flip over onto your belly if that's available for you. As we're going to do a little bit of Cobra Pose here and opening up the spine. So you can do this from a seated version too. So if you're on your back, your legs are extended, straight back. You can have your forearms underneath your body for support, or you can slide your hands back and take your hands underneath. Just want to gradually move into just a little curvature of the spine. So slowly begin to look up. Whichever position you're in, you can find this Cobra Pose. So hands, forearms down, hands down, whatever's best for you, and then look upward and breathe. Find that nice arch in the spine, find that nice opening in that heart space. If it's too much for you, you'll notice it in the breath. It'll be really hard to breathe, so you get to back off a little bit if that's too much. If you can breathe normally, in and out of your nose, then you're in a good place. Always listen to your breath. Good, and then slowly we'll come back to center. And then release all the way down. If you're in this back bend, come all the way down back onto your belly. And if you're on your back, you're going to, or if you're on the mat, you're going to flip over onto your back. We're going to move into some closing poses here. And again, from either position, you're getting the same benefits. First of all, we're going to come into a spinal twist. So you're going to Take your knees into your chest if that's an option, or maybe one knee at a time. And then if you're on the mat, you're going to release over to the right side. So if you have one leg, then you're going to hold your left leg in and come to the right. And for those of us in a chair, this is a spinal twist. We want to get the low back. So take your hand back to this seated twist that we did earlier, this time with a little bit more mobility, a little bit more room in here. So breathe, twist. These twists always feel good, or they should. If they don't, back off. Again, listen to your body, listen to your breath. And then come back to center. And then switch sides. So either both legs over to the left if you're on your back, or that single leg, switching legs. And if you're in that seat, twist to the left, looking over to the left, breathing. Good. And then coming back to center. If you're on your back, you're going to hug your knees into your chest. If you're in your chair, if you can lift up your legs or place your legs on a block or a chair to lift yourself up, just to kind of curl into a little ball here, just to feel this rounding of the spine. Knees hugging in. And then we'll take the opposite here and extend the legs straight out. So reach the legs straight out, and then if you're able to reach your arms all the way up, take your arms up. Maybe one at a time, or just take them out in front, just wherever you can to give them a nice extension. Breathe into that reach. Take one more deep breath. If you're on the mat, you're reaching your arms up overhead and just stretching the body long. And then exhale and take your arms all the way down by your sides. Let your arms hang by your sides here. If you're on your mat, you're lying flat on the back with your palms up. Your feet fall out. And your eyes are closed. If you're in your seat, your arms can hang if that feels good. You can rest your hands on your thighs if that feels better. You can let your legs relax. You can let the body relax. Try to avoid any slouching position, but not being in a too much of an erect position either. So somewhere in between, that soft place in the middle, where it's not too much effort and not too slouched. And then let go of your effort to breathe. Your eyes are closed here. The body is relaxed. The mind is still. And your breath just goes back to its normal rhythm. Allowing a moment here to let all the benefits of the breath, the movement, that connection between body and mind that we've been building, let all of that soak in. And then bring your hands together in a prayer position in front of your heart. Just acknowledging that inner peace. Namaste. Thank you all so much. Feel free to stay here, relax, enjoy this blissful state. Unfortunately, it doesn't last that long. So keep it as long as you can. Share it with others and have a beautiful day. Great to see you.